Will I ever have kids? Will I ever lose weight? Am I gonna get diabetes? Oh my gosh, like, am I gonna grow a beard? Like, literally, well-meaning people have commented under my video like, oh, Courtney, don't claim PCOS over your life. You know, your words are really powerful. Don't say my PCOS, it's not yours, in Jesus' name. It's like, guys, let's have a huddle. Let's have a huddle real quick. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are all doing well. Don't excuse the way I look. I look fantastic, but I'm not wearing makeup today because it's entirely too warm, but I still needed to film this content. And also, to be truthful, I am feeling extremely tired because of some PMS symptoms flaring up. I feel like fatigue is something that I'm still dealing with in terms of my PCOS symptoms, and it's inspired me to make this video now, which is 7 steps I took after receiving my PCOS diagnosis and what I would advise to anyone who has been newly diagnosed with PCOS. A lot of you have been following my glowing and growing journey where I've been trying to lose weight, focus on my wellness, and all of that jazz. And a huge thing that has directed the steps that I've taken is my PCOS diagnosis. So if you did not know, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome in 2016, and it's basically a hormonal imbalance which, you know, which causes there to be cysts on your ovaries, and it affects different women in different ways. But a lot of you have been watching my journey, and it's actually inspired some of you to kind of take notice of things going on in your body. And people have recently been telling me that I even, you know, made them go visit their doctor, and they have recently found out that they have polycystic ovarian syndrome. And I am not only praying for all of you, but also just wanting to make sure that I create content that actually helps you navigate this journey so that you don't feel alone. Because I do think that there's just a lack of research, a lack of, you know, exposure and awareness, a lack of content out there relating to how to actually navigate PCOS. And I think it's tricky because everyone's symptoms actually manifest in a different way. But if I can share a bit about my journey, hopefully that can help you in some way, even if it's just knowing that you are not alone. And so the first thing that I would say is figure out what type of PCOS you have. Now, many people don't know this, but there are actually different types of PCOS. So there is insulin resistant, inflammatory, adrenal, and post-pill. And all of those have different symptoms, different causes, and different ways to reverse them. Some of them are actually reversible. And my specific type is insulin resistant. And so when you find out your type of PCOS and, you know, how you got it, what caused it, or what its symptoms are, the way the symptoms manifest in your body, you can then ask your GP all the questions you have about your specific symptoms and what it means for you. Because I feel like the type of PCOS you have determines the lifestyle choices and the dietary choices or the medicinal and supplemental choices that you actually make. And so knowing what type of PCOS you have helps you to navigate your healing journey in a more informed way. And so ask your GP all of the questions, especially pertaining to the results that you have had from the different tests that you've done, from ultrasounds to blood tests to urine tests to whatever it is that you may have done in order to get you to this point of your diagnosis. And definitely make a list of all of your symptoms and all of the things that you may have seen, or maybe the things that, you know, you're only now noticing now that you've been thinking about whether you have PCOS. I definitely came to realize that there were certain things happening in my body and on my body which I had never taken notice of until I started to look more into PCOS and its symptoms. For example, I used to get a lot of spots on my back, and firstly, it's my back. It's not like I look at it every day, but I used to get a lot of spots like on my back, and I never thought anything of it because I don't have acne on my face. But when I went to the GP and they were kind of, you know, running through these PCOS symptoms, they were like, do you get a lot of spots? Do you have acne? And I was like, no, I don't have acne, you know, clear skin. Here we are. I mean, the hyperpigmentation is talking a lot, but roll with my drift. I didn't have acne in the typical way. And they were like, well, do you have acne anywhere else on your body? And I was like, well, sometimes I get spots on my back. And then upon further assessment, they were like, well, lo and behold. And so definitely pay attention to your symptoms and talk to your GP about or your doctor or anyone who is helping you navigate this, a medical professional who's helping you navigate this or has brought you to this point of receiving a diagnosis. Talk to them about how you can deal with each symptom and what your options are. We'll talk about the sort of options questions you have a little bit later, but definitely talk to a medical professional and lean on them. I know it can feel very awkward. Maybe you don't feel knowledgeable, but do your research and ask any question you have, even the dumb questions. I know, for example, I live in the UK, and sometimes it feels like the NHS is crazy stretched, and so you feel rushed or like you can't get an appointment in time. But this is your health and this is your future, and this is something that's going to affect you in some way. And so really advocate for yourself and ask for the answers which you need. The next thing I would say is make a list of every worry you have. I remember that moment that my GP was telling me, hey, this is what's going on. There were racing thoughts going through my mind of just fears and anxieties from, will I ever have kids? Will I ever lose weight? Am I gonna get diabetes? Oh my gosh, like, am I gonna grow a beard? Like, literally, everything was flashing through my mind. And I think it's important for you to make a list of all of these things and literally comb through it or go through it one by one, asking yourself practically, how are you going to kind of talk yourself off the edge, number one, but also deal with each of these things, right? And I think it pairs well with making a list of your symptoms and knowing how your PCOS may be affecting you. Do you need to start, working on your reproductive health, working on your egg quality, working on, weight management and all of that stuff? Really think about practical ways that can help you kind of calm down. I find that a lot of these worries that we have, the anxieties we have, is because we don't currently have the answer to these questions that keep popping into our mind and into our hearts. But if we take time to do the research, we take time to, get equipped with knowledge, ask our GP, do some, follows on Instagram to certain pages, do some Googling, read some reports, whatever it is, watch some YouTube videos, you then begin to get answers to these questions, and it can kind of calm you down a little bit because you realize that there actually are answers, but you won't know there are answers until you know what the questions you have are. And so definitely make a list of all the worries that you have and start to deal with them practically through researching. The next thing I would say is follow the right pages. Instagram has been a huge help for me on this PCOS journey because I've been able to be exposed to different women's journeys, different people with PCOS's journeys in the digital world. They share their journeys, they create content very similar to how I am currently, but even more informed and PCOS specific. Whether it's around weight loss, their fertility journey, their relationship with their skin, following the right accounts has definitely given me the representation that I needed to feel like, okay, my body, yes, there is this thing that's wrong, but also there is healing, there is life, there is joy, there are milestones after this. People have kids, they get married, they lose the weight, they heal their skin, they have way better mental health, they come to terms with their diagnosis. Some of them even heal and reverse their PCOS. And being exposed to those testimonies, being exposed to those cases helps you to know that there are different ways this journey can go. And as you are going on your journey, which is very unique to you, you can draw inspiration and knowledge and wisdom from other people who are facing very similar things to you. So I was following some people who I didn't even know had PCOS, but later became vocal about the fact that this was something that they were dealing with, which definitely helped me at the time navigating my diagnosis. But in terms of more, PCOS specific pages I followed, there were these two pages which I followed, which I'll put on the screen, which I highly recommend if you are dealing with PCOS, you actually go and check out because they share really insightful stuff. Even in the case of NutriFemme, which is Dr. Anna's page, she's a doctor. So it's really great to have a professional kind of informing you about what this could mean for your body. But even PCOS to wellness, I really enjoy following her journey, as well as the different tips and tricks she's learned along the way through her research and just through her having PCOS herself. And so definitely follow pages like that, pages similar, pages from people who are, vocal about having PCOS, just so that you can see that representation and you can also have hope as well. And it may help you to be informed. The next thing I'd say is tell the people that you love and allow them to come on this journey with you. I know when you find out something is wrong with you internally, you feel like it's a you problem, and so you have to deal with it alone. But for me, something that has brought me immense comfort is having my sisters, having my friends, having my family go on this journey with me, whether it's coming with me to appointments to be my emotional support, doing their own research themselves so that we can have conversations about it and they can notice certain things in me, or, you know, give me a bit more grace because they understand what I'm going through. It's just been nice to have people around me who care about my well-being, care about this journey that I'm on, care about my physical health, and who want to assist me in some way to navigate all of that. And so definitely, you know, tell trusted people. And I know that sometimes when you tell people, they're kind of like, I don't actually know what that is. But I think if you're surrounded by good community around you, who can be a solid support system, who can give you, you know, comfort and encouragement, they will also go away and kind of educate themselves. I'm always so filled with so much love and gratitude when the people in my life kind of send me things, or, you know, I'm having conversations, they're like, oh, I was reading about PCOS, or I followed this page, or, you know, I saw this post, is this, you know, helpful to you? And it's just like, wow, thank you for actually caring. And so surround yourself with people who care about you and who can go on this journey with you, even if it's just to hear you, you know, be like, hey, I'm really tired, or, you know, I'm really feeling stagnant or depressed about the fact that I'm not losing this weight. And they can kind of, you know, calm you down and be like, hey, remember that, you know, you're up against certain things, and work with your body and be kinder to yourself. And I think people giving you those reminders can sometimes help you to believe it a lot more and actually do it, than you being self-motivated all the time. Because if I'm going to be honest, this journey can feel really lonely, and sometimes you don't have the energy or the determination to, or the faith to really amp yourself up and be like, oh, it's okay, it's gonna be all right. Like sometimes you just want to willow in self-pity, as well as just feel all the feelings. And you should allow yourself to feel all the feelings, but I think it's important to surround yourself with counsel and people around you who can remind you of the truth and kind of get you out of those places slowly but surely. The fifth thing I would say is start to think about the practical lifestyle and diet changes that you can make. For me, this was things like starting to take supplements. So I have done a video, funny enough, I was wearing this top, where I talked about my PCOS friendly morning routine. And in there, I showed you what supplements I take every morning to help with my PCOS symptoms, from managing fatigue to sugar cravings, blood sugar levels, energy levels, muscle soreness, every single thing. And so definitely go and check out that video. But I'm currently taking iron, vitamin D, myo-inositol by Myova, which is one of the biggest things I learned about on this PCOS journey. Myo-inositol is a game changer. It's not like a magic pill which solves all of your PCOS you know, problems or heals you, but it does have a lot of research that has gone into suggesting that it helps manage your symptoms, manage cravings, manage your fatigue and energy levels, help even with like just hormonal regulation. And so definitely check that out. I'll always have the link in the description for that, because it is a complete game changer. And shout out to Myova, because that's the only brand of myo-inositol I've ever used, and the team is just absolutely brilliant, because the founder of it actually has PCOS, and so she's creating these products to help women. It's fantastic. So yeah, myo-inositol, and then cod liver oil as well to, you know, help with my brain, my joints, especially as I'm aging, girl. So yeah, supplements was something I implemented into my diet changes, as well as realizing that because I have insulin resistant PCOS, I need to be managing things like my blood sugar levels and paying close attention to my blood sugar levels. So even managing, you know, whether I have high sugar foods or like highly processed foods, or foods that are high in carbohydrates, things like that will affect the way that I eat. And then in terms of lifestyle, things like sleeping more, integrating low intensity exercising, but just making sure I move my body. It can really help to like regulate blood sugar levels and stuff like that. But this is stuff that I've talked about in that PCOS friendly morning routine video. So definitely go and check that out. But do your research into the different things that you can do, which practically you can actually implement into your life, because it's easy to say you're now going to overhaul your entire behavior, your entire lifestyle. And honestly, a lot of these changes are implemented over time, especially so that your body can get used to it and so that you can be consistent in it. Like, you deciding to weight train every single day may not even be helpful for you, but also it may not be practical or feasible to say that you're even going to do that, or like you're going to drop 100 pounds of weight because, you know, weight management will help with your fertility journey. Okay, but practically, how are you actually going to do that, especially considering your lifestyle and, you know, your different responsibilities? So start to make practical plans and practical steps, but be intentional about changing things to your lifestyle, sleeping more, going for the walk, meal prepping so that you always have the right food and you don't have to necessarily order out for like the high processed stuff, especially when you have like cravings for certain things. All of these small practical changes can make bigger change overall and in the long run. But it's important for you to know that lifestyle and dietary changes can really be the key factor in managing your PCOS symptoms, because the first thing I was, you know, prescribed or recommended was birth control. And I find that so many GPs, so many women, have been prescribed by their GP or their doctor birth control as their only option to managing their PCOS symptoms, when actually lifestyle changes, supplements and dietary changes can really help a whole bunch. And birth control, especially considering that one of the types of PCOS is pill induced, like post-pill induced. Once you come off contraception, you can actually develop PCOS because of the progesterone. Progesterone. That's always been a word I have struggled to say. But yeah, because of the hormones that are in birth control, it can actually induce PCOS. And so it's crazy that somebody with a hormonal imbalance is being prescribed a hormonal contraceptive pill as the only solution to things, when actually it's not really a solution but can become more of a problem. I'm just saying. So just because you're offered birth control, and it may even be the only option that you are offered, doesn't mean you have to take it, and doesn't mean it's the only thing that you can do to actually help manage your symptoms. So do your research, know which type of PCOS you have so that you can do what actually helps your body. The penultimate thing I would say is start taking self-care seriously. And I know it sounds really fluffy and dainty, but I even had to catch myself yesterday when this was happening. I could feel the fatigue setting in. I could feel the body aches and pains. I could feel the, you know, PMDD symptoms really coming at me. And I was starting to get really frustrated with myself and criticizing myself about how unproductive I was being and how much, you know, I was being lazy. And oftentimes when you don't understand your PCOS symptoms, you can label these things on yourself as, you know, I'm just being lazy, I'm just procrastinating, I just have no self-control. And I've seen a lot of people even do it to me, like externally, and be like, oh, you don't have this, you're not disciplined, you're not that. But I've realized that you actually don't know my story, you don't know my life, you don't know what's going on in my body. And to some degree, for a long time, I didn't either. And so it's easy to be harsh when you don't understand the full story. And this has allowed me to get a better, you know, a better view of the whole picture. And I've realized that I can be extremely hard on myself when actually I need to be setting myself up for success, first of all. So that's doing things like aligning my productivity with my cycle, but also just allowing my body to get the time it needs to actually heal. And a lot of healing happens when you're resting. PCOS is something that is heavily affected, well, most of the types are heavily affected by stress. And so when you start stressing out, you start to make things a whole lot worse. Your body struggles to lose weight, it struggles to heal and repair. All of these different things, your mental health starts to suffer. And so allowing myself to not get stressed out about everything that's happening has really helped me to just calm down. But it's required me to be kinder to myself. It's required me to be more patient with myself and okay with slowing things down. And I know that that can sound really scary, and it can sound like it may set you back a bit, or it may just make you frustrated with your lack of progress, when actually just take your time, be consistent. It may take you 3 times as long as someone else to lose weight. It may take you a couple extra years to have children. This may not even be the case necessarily, but you know, it could, in some people's cases, it may take you a couple extra years to have kids, but do the work now. Take the steps now, and eventually you will get there. You will have everything that you've dreamt of, and you will actually be okay. God's actually got your back. And this brings me to my last thing, which is pray. Like, pray, release all of your anxieties, release all of your fears into God's hands. He made your body, He knows your story, He knows your future, and every promise He has concerning you will come to pass no matter what your diagnosis is, no matter what your doctor has said. This is the backdrop for the amazing testimony you are going to give at some stage. And I know a lot of you have, like, a lot of people, well-meaning people, have commented under my video like, oh, Courtney, don't claim PCOS over your life. You know, your words are really powerful. Don't say my PCOS, it's not yours, in Jesus' name. It's like, guys, let's have a huddle. Let's have a huddle real quick. I get it. I get where it's coming from. And by His stripes, we have been healed already. It is done. It is established. A diagnosis is just somebody saying, hey, this is what your reports are saying. But just because someone's report saying one thing, my life could tell a whole different story, right? There's something so powerful, which I heard somebody who actually deals with like a life condition preach once, and they were saying how, you know, God operates in miracles, signs and wonders, and oftentimes we're asking for miracles. We're asking for, God, do this thing, like turn it around and let it be obvious, let it be something that, you know, the report has completely changed, you're no longer diagnosed with this thing. But then there's also signs and wonders where it's like, actually the report on the paper, it is saying this, right? PCOS, the condition suggests that you should have XYZ. You shouldn't be able to have kids. You shouldn't be able to lose weight. You shouldn't be able to be happy. You shouldn't be able to, you know, function. You may have depression, like all of these different things. But just because the paper says that, just because, you know, Google says that, doesn't necessarily mean once you look up, your life is saying that exact same story. And I think there's something so powerful about allowing God to be with you every step of the way, and not just dictating to Him how He should do this miracle, how He should do this sign, how He should make you a wonder, but actually allowing Him to go on a journey of showing you, hey, despite this diagnosis, look how beautiful your life is. Look at the fact that you do have children. Look at the fact that, yes, you may feel fatigued, but look at everything you've been able to achieve. Look at everything that you're still able to do. Look at the fact that you are even able to take care of yourself. Look at God's provision. Look at the fact that He's been able to give you strength. Even in times like this, when I feel extremely tired and extremely fatigued and my body is literally aching me, I trust God, that God will help me to get everything done, that He'll give me divine peace. I can genuinely attest to the fact that I have seen the hand and the grace of God and God's comfort with me on this journey. And just because there is a diagnosis, just because there is a name to these things, which is actually really helpful to know, it's helpful to know what's going on. It's helpful to not be ignorant about what's happening to your body in blind faith, right? It's actually really helpful to be knowledgeable about certain things. But despite all of these things, PCOS is no greater name than Jesus. Diagnoses are no greater declaration than the word of God over my life. And I can trust those two things, and it's existing in that kind of duality that requires faith to come out from you and actually trusting God on the journey. And so I get it. I really do, but I'm on my own faith walk, and prayer is one of those things that have allowed for me to find such peace and also such transformation. Guys, like, despite still having PCOS, my period went from being once every 6 months to being every month, like consistent. That is the grace of God. That is the beauty of God. That is His faithfulness, and that is a miracle. And so just because on my report it says PCOS doesn't mean my healing has not been obtained, right? And so yeah, pray, release every anxiety. Tell God every worry that you have. Allow yourself to have those moments of silence, of meditation on His word, reminding yourself on His promises concerning you. If you want children, remind yourself that it's God that gives children. Your ovaries don't have to dictate what's happening. It's a part of what's happening, but it doesn't dictate. God dictates, God speaks. When He speaks, it's done. When He gives a promise, it is established. And so it may not come the way you think it will come, but God has spoken and He will do. And reminding yourself of that, reminding yourself of His word concerning you, reminding yourself as well that He cares about you. He wants you to experience true satisfaction and faith in Him. And that looks different, but that requires prayer, and it requires us to come to terms with that in a place of prayer, in a place of vulnerability, in a place of trust, in a place of full surrender, and in a place where you've decided to do this journey with God, right? So pray more than you may even talk to your community about things, more than you're even worrying in your head about everything. Pray. Release everything that you have to God. Speak to him about it. Speak to your GP and then pray about that. But calm yourself in the place of prayer. Yeah, that's been one of my huge wellness practices, if you will, and it's just a huge part of my spiritual journey. But if you are someone who prays, if you are spiritual, if you are Christian, or whatever, just pray, right? So I hope that this video has been helpful. I hope that it's been insightful, and I hope that it genuinely helped, especially if you have received a PCOS diagnosis. And if you have, let me just pray for you real quick. Pray with you as my sister. Lord, thank you for my sister watching this. Thank you for the people watching this who may be watching to get themselves educated. I just pray that you calm every anxiety and you calm every fear. I pray, God, that you remind us of just how much you love us and just how much our bodies were created by you, and those bodies are still beautifully and wonderfully made. I pray that you help us to embrace the journey that we're about to embark on. And even in the high times and the low times, I pray that you cause for us to find rest in you, to find peace in you. I pray that you help us with every single one of our symptoms, and where we feel like we may be coming up short, we pray for your divine nature to make up the rest. That, Lord, you will do it because you love us. You will do it because you're God. You will do it because you're faithful. And I pray that your faithfulness is something that we see on this journey continually. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Sis, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful. Share it with anyone who you may know who is going through this. And I'll talk to you very, very soon. All right? As always, stay beautiful and stay blessed. Mwah.